Are we live? We're totally live. What's up, guys, and welcome to this episode of Tuesday Afternoon Talks, the road trip edition. We're out here with, with Hannah and Nelson, obviously, and sorry we're late. We kind of forgot.
We're eating some delicious food.
Let's get this right there. Get the steering wheel out of the way. Polly, it's so nice to see you. Thank you for checking in. As always, for everybody who's never checked us out before, every Tuesday we do a Facebook Live broadcast to talk about anything social, digital, marketing, and answer any of your questions live. So if you do have any questions about social or digital marketing, please feel free to comment below, and we'll make sure to get to them. Mike, thank you so much for always checking in. Really appreciate it. Why don't we get started, guys? We're kind of off to do some stuff today, so we can't really hang out for too long. But I want to mix it up today. Is that all right with you guys?
Go for it.
Yeah, I want to mix it up today. So why don't we start with Nelson? Recently, this last week, right, you went to Adobe Max.
Yeah. And
there was probably some key takeaways from Adobe Max that you can share with the audience and kind of help them out. Anything cool that you learned?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I learned was that Adobe's moving into the AI space really heavily. So a lot of things are going to be like auto done for you. Another big takeaway is like switch up of applications, like one being Lightroom went to CC, so a lot of photographers used the original Lightroom and it switched over to more of a mobile app, which still desktop, but they made leaps and bounds of improvements. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the stuff is just like you take a picture of a font and you get the whole font look right there in your fingertips.
It's crazy.
Wow.
A lot of auto clipping. All the performance and the food and all that stuff was good. Mm-hmm. Same hotel played.
Sure.
And it was like Alice in Wonderland style, like kind of like event. So it was pretty cool. I had fun.
That's awesome. So the AI thing is really interesting to me because I was actually reading an article before we did this that like the things to look out for in 2018, and it was heavily weighed on AR. So like, what can we do as marketers to not be like crumbled by this as we're all trying to figure out the best way to do video, graphics, like copywriting, that sort of thing. So what can we do, or what resources can we take into consideration to stay ahead of the curve?
I think the big thing with Adobe, what they're pushing while they were showing us all these things that could potentially put us out of business, the whole thing that they were trying to preach was we're making it easier for you to focus on the creativity.
Sure.
So we're making sure that everything gets out your way. It's like for now, for like Adobe, they're starting AI. If you clicked on text for Photoshop, mm-hmm. You would have to go search for your text like fields and boxes. Mm-hmm. Now you click text, all the text fields are there. If you click pen tool, all your brushes are there. So they're just making it easy with
more
that.
intuitive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I think it comes down to the creative. You're still the creator, regardless of all the AI. You can put everything can be augmented, but you're still comes down to the creator.
Huh. I think it's what we were talking about on the ride down about how AI and everything, just technology growing, is really changing the industry, and who knows if our jobs will exist in 10, 15 years. But then I think it was Mick said that like you can't do AI for creativity. Like there will always be maybe, but there will always be some way to be creative, to make a job out of being creative, and so it just depends on how you adapt and how you grow within that.
Yeah, cool, for sure. Daniel, thank you so much for checking in, and Audrey, it's nice to see you. For those of you who may not have checked us out before, every Tuesday we do a live session to talk about social and digital marketing.
It's not usually us in a car with all of our sunglasses
on. No, today is I kind of like it. Today is the road trip edition. We're down here in San Diego, so that's been a lot of fun. So before we move on to Hannah's highlights, I do want to answer the question that we got from Polly, who has a caregiving business in Orange County. And her question was, she has a Facebook page that she has her customers or clients go to, right? And she wants to know how she can increase her audience, essentially. And I think one of the major things that you want to take into consideration, Polly, is why are you sending people to your Facebook page? If it's an extension of your business card, like that's one thing. If it's just a way for people to get to know you, but if you want to increase your audience, you have to consistently put out content and articles that people will kind of look forward to, I think you can say, and find useful. So whether it's, you know, five things you should take into consideration with the changes in Medi-Cal. I don't know much about this, but that type of information is important for your audience, because that's going to affect the placements and what type of caregivers they can get and things like that, right? So that's great information to put out. You know, other things like how to find the right caregiver for your mom or dad or grandma and grandpa. That type of stuff is good to come out, is good to publish. But again, you want to continue to provide great information for your prospective audience. And then in addition to that, you also have to use like Facebook ads and things like that.
You do have to pay to play to a certain extent.
Yeah, and please, to anybody watching and doing social media marketing, please understand that Facebook and Instagram, those are just pieces of the pie. It's not the end-all, be-all. Just because your Facebook or Instagram game is super strong doesn't mean it's going to translate into leads. You got to have a solid foundation with your website, with your email marketing campaigns, your landing pages, things like that, and even your traditional print, you know, if that's still where your target is looking. But Facebook and Instagram is not the end-all, be-all. It's a big part of the puzzle and a big way to reach out to new people, but it's not the only thing that's going to drive business to you. So, can we move on to Hannah's highlights?
If you want.
Yeah.
So I watched, Nelson told us about a documentary called Time. It's about Khalif Browder, he was convicted of, he wasn't even convicted. He was
A suspect.
a suspect in a crime, a minor crime, and then he was at Rikers in New York, which is one of like the hardest jails in the country, for 3 years, and he spent, what was it? It was 1,000 days in jail, and 700 of those were in solitary?
Yeah.
It was something insane like that. And so, aside from the whole political side of things, they just told the story so well. It was, I think, maybe 7 episodes, and I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but, which you might already know since it was in the news, but it was just, they crafted the interviews, and then they recreated things, and it was different scenes, and
Sure.
I mean, Jay-Z was a producer, and Jay-Z was interviewed in it, and it was, they just did a really good job at the editing and
Yeah.
producing.
So you would
and it
recommend
was-
this?
I would highly recommend it.
Can you sit through one episode, or do you have to watch all 27 or whatever?
You need to watch at least multiple in a row. I
You'll
think I
want
did it in
to.
2 days.
Yeah, you'll
Nice.
want
I
to.
was feeling sick, and I was like working on my computer, and then I just had it in the background,
Yeah.
and it was wonderful.
It's hot as heck outside, so so it's a good time to enjoy your air conditioner, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's get Polly on here then. Let's do that. That is guest. All right, so we're inviting Polly onto the show. Thank you so much, Polly. She mentioned that she wants to use Facebook. She's using Facebook ads to boost her page for her business. If it doesn't connect for whatever reason, Polly, please, boosting, again, just doing blind boosts aren't going to help you very much. It might help with awareness, but you want to run straightforward campaigns. And it's a lot to talk about on the Facebook Live session. But if you message us, it would actually, if you message one of us, either Hannah, Nelson, or myself, we'd be happy to run through that with you and kind of show you, and at least give kind of a diagnosis of what's going on with your online campaign before you waste any money doing that. Because again, if your infrastructure isn't set up before you run Facebook ads, you could be wasting a lot of money. It's a very important part of the puzzle. Okay.
You need to set the foundation.
Yeah.
Before moving forward.
Absolutely. So the last point that we wanted to make, or at least we wanted to talk about, one second, guys. On this. The last thing we wanted to talk about before we signed off today was how to spot fake influencers. As some of you guys know, influencer marketing is a very popular thing to do. And it's proven effective for some of the clients that we're working with as well, in growing followings and brand awareness, which is great. But it's hard to tell which are the right influencers for you, and if you're getting, the follower curtain pulled over your eyes. So some of the things that you can look for example, if you're trying to spot a fake influencer, is, watch their Instagram stories over a while. Don't just pick somebody because they have a lot of followers and a lot of likes. Look at their Instagram stories for a week or 2 weeks, and if they're not actually in it with live videos, because a lot of people are doing that, that's kind of a red flag that the follower or the influencer might not be a real influencer, right? Mm-hmm. And even though a lot of eyeballs might see what's going on, it's not just with influencer marketing. It's not just like a lot of followers and a lot of engagement and things like that. The influencer themselves have to be trustworthy and persuade somebody to purchase a product with their personality, right? Somebody still has to sell that product.
And they need to have relationships with their followers.
Exactly. So that's one of the things that you can look out for. Anything that you guys would suggest to look out for with fake influencers?
Just see their engagement of whether they're responding to comments, if they're getting products within a specific vein, or it looks like they're just looking for anything free that companies will give them.
Sure.
I think like if you try to DM them, see how they respond, if they respond.
Sure.
Yeah, I would say make sure that it's like in your realm, like of what you're trying to promote. And if they're promoting a lot of products, it's probably not best to go that direction.
Oh.
You know, if they're really pick and choose quality of what they really use or what they really value.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point, actually. And one of the other points that I find kind of interesting when trying to spot, making sure that you're not getting taken advantage of by a fake influencer is look at their followers and their engagement. If you look at their likes and every single photo they have has like a very similar number of likes and engagement, there's something fishy going on. I've recently run across somebody who, has their 100,000 followers, which is great, or their 20,000, whatever, which is great. But then every single photo has just about 1,000 likes on it. Just about. It's like 1,100, 1,000, 1,100, 1,000. And something kind of fishy is going on there, wouldn't you say?
Probably, yeah, that makes sense. Even, everyone on Instagram has posts that do really well and posts that don't do as well. And that's a good point. They just want to hit that 1,000 mark, so they're just buying likes to get to that point.
So yeah, exactly. Because you'll see some people that have tens of thousands of followers, and some posts only get 300 likes, but then some get like 700. And there's like, there's a lot of different variables that go into like what that engagement is like. But if it's, I wouldn't say go too sporadic, but it just has to feel natural and normal. And if everything's way too consistent, I personally think that there's something wrong with it.
I think this is like one of the few circumstances where consistency isn't a good, is odd.
Yeah, it's important that there's consistency, but again, it's that
consistency
weird kind of
and metrics, I guess.
Yeah. So, again, to everybody who checked in today, I know that it's been sporadic with the time. I think we'll figure that out, but I do like that it's kind of a day in the life of whatever we do, right? So we really appreciate it. Again, every Tuesday we do a live Facebook broadcast answering any social or digital marketing questions that you might have. And until next week.
I'm Hannah.
Nelson.
And I'm Mikhail. Thank you for checking in.